Them beavers, them dam builders, they build dams. It's what they do.
Today we're breaking up a beaver dam by hand and preventing a flood.
Right here on Cabin Life. Welcome to another Cabin Life. Thanks for subscribing. You know, in this neck of the woods, we try to live with nature, in harmony with nature as much as possible. Not against nature, but sometimes we meet adversities and adversaries, and in this case there is a beaver dam that has been built. The beavers have been making headway and sprawling out. I guess new families have been formed this year, and they have dammed up some of the waterway, and it is causing some problems upstream. So today I'm going to be breaking up the beaver dam by hand, and I think we're going to have some fun doing it.
The reason we're here today and Glenn is breaking up the beaver dam is that this summer we noticed that the ditches in the roadside were starting to flood, and the water was encroaching onto the neighbor's property as well. And if we don't do anything about it, that water is eventually going to flood our land as well. And there's a danger in that if the land becomes saturated with water, it loosens and it doesn't have as good of a grip on the root system of the large trees. So the next time there's a major storm, a windstorm, it could actually blow the trees over, which is a danger both to people and property.
So I noticed that the traps are set here. The trapper has been by and has set at least one trap that I see, and so I'm not going to upset the site too much here. I just opened it up enough that that's going to release some of the stress that's upstream and allow it to drain, and the sound of the trickling of the water, from what I understand, will attract the beaver to come and want to patch that up.
From what we understand, there are new neighbors whose land is flooding. They're new to the area, they're new to off-grid living, and they're really busy getting themselves set up in their new homestead. So when we noticed the high water, Glenn decided he would come out and take care of the dam and keep the water level going down.
Yeah, as long as the water is draining downstream, then it helps prevent the water from backing up upstream and helps prevent a flood. Now, if I do fall in, Maureen, you got the rake. You can hand that to me as a pull and pull me out. That mud down there, I know for a fact, is very deep and it's like quicksand. If I was to fall in there, I'd try to stand up. I wouldn't be able to. I'd sink down into the mud, and if I fell in and try to push myself with my hands, they'd sink into the mud too. So I'd need you to give me a pull, pull me out. and I'd probably just slip right out of my boots and right out of my trousers. I'd be like a little salamander coming out from under a log. A wet log. You know, beavers are amazing animals. They're tireless workers, it seems, and they like to raise water levels to create a pond, basically, and that creates a habitat for them. But there's a lot of different elements that I've noticed. For instance, before there's a beaver pond, there may be just a piece of flat land and like a meadow of wetland grass, and it's basically just a wetland, and it has some water in it that drains from either side on the hills, and the beaver will migrate to those areas, and they will begin to make channels, beaver runs, where they can go down into the mud and dig that out and create a pathway for them to swim in and feed and create new habitat. As they take that mud away, they'll find a place that's the lowest inland and start to plug that up so that as the water tries to drain away, it actually gets caught in that low area and creates a little pond. And as the pond levels come up, the edges of the pond on either side, of course, go wider and wider, and that allows the beaver to swim up to those edges and feed on the trees and new vegetation without being so vulnerable and having to go up onto dry land. So as they build their ponds and dams and they put the layer of mud across, they let the mud dry, and then they'll add more mud to that, and then some sticks, more layers of mud, and they've got their dam built. It takes a while, but they're, as I said, tireless workers and just amazing feats of engineering. Now, some of the predators of beavers are wolves. In times when the moose and the deer are not so plentiful, the wolves will hunt the beavers. There were studies done that watched wolves after a period of many days where a wolf would come to a beaver dam lying in wait for the beaver to make it up onto land. And when beavers come out of the water onto land, they're slow moving, and so of course they make it easy prey. Then the wolves will tend to feed more on the beavers. So also bear will predate on beavers. I'm not sure what end of the city that the rumor came from that if there's beavers around, then you won't see bear. But as far as I know, that's a myth, because the bear, from what I understand, will find a beaver dam and a beaver den, and then they will hunt and scout the area around that vicinity for the kits and for beavers that are up on land. Because they can easily outrun a beaver to the water. So that was something that was new to me that I just researched, and very interesting. So other than that, there are not a lot of other enemies or predators of the beaver. So the beaver do not eat fish. They eat aquatic plants, and they eat wood, and they do a lot of chewing and gnawing.
Beavers have orange teeth, and the reason for that is that their enamel is laced with iron to give them strength so that their teeth don't break off when they're chewing on those big trees.
And did you know that if the beaver didn't continuously gnaw away on wood, their teeth would just keep on growing, and they would grow so long that they eventually wouldn't even be able to eat? They'd starve to death.
Beavers' lips are able to close behind their teeth so that when they're carrying wood through the pond, water doesn't get in their mouth and drown them. And their nose and their ears, they have closable valves so that water doesn't get into them.
Can people eat beaver? Well, if you're adventurous. Well, since we're breaking a beaver dam by hand today, prevent that flood. I got a couple trail cams, and we'll set them up, and we'll see if we get any footage of the beaver working away. They're pretty much nocturnal. They like to work at night. So we'll set these and we'll leave and come back, and we'll see if we have any footage. If we do, we'll put it into the video. Yeah, beavers do amazing work. They can transform a landscape from a mosquito-infested wetland into a completely new ecosystem, creating a series of ponds and diverse wildlife. All kinds of things are attracted to the new ecosystem. Just amazing.
Yeah, they're considered a keystone species in the temperate and boreal forest wetlands because they help control the flow of water.
Interesting that one of the keystone species, being the beaver, that its enemy, the predator, the wolf, is also one of those keystone species as well. Interesting how the dynamics of nature works. Now, just recently, they've reintroduced the European beaver to the UK. From what I hear, in Scotland, the beaver's been reintroduced there from about 400 years ago. They were wiped out through hunting and through the farming and whatnot, now making a comeback. Some of the farmers aren't too happy about that, though. But hopefully they can coexist in harmony.
Did you know that beavers are pretty fast swimmers? They can swim up to 8 kilometers an hour.
It's pretty fast. Speaking of beavers swimming in water, they do relieve themselves in water, and that excrement is actually very dangerous to humans. It comes in the form of giardia, and that expresses itself in a sickness, stomach sickness, and known as beaver fever. And you don't want to experience that. Often it happens unbeknownst to the person drinking the water. They don't realize that they ingested contaminated water from the beavers. There's a toxin in there that it just goes with their territory. So if you're coming along, you're in the woods and you're having a hike and you've been down, there's a nice clear running stream, and you've got to be careful of what that water consists of, because you never know. You want to check upstream, because that could be, the source could be a beaver pond, and as opposed to a lake. Two different things. So just a word of warning there. So today's unblockage of the dam, it's just a temporary fix. The beaver and I have had some engagements, shall we say, and interaction, where I'll come one day and relieve the dam, and the beaver will be back that night, and then the next day start to build it all back up again. Good thing we do have trappers in the area, and this trapper is kindly working his trap line kind of early in the season, doing it more of as a favor to the neighborhood in trapping and relocating the beaver to a better habitat that's more suitable. Well, that's a quick change. The sun's out. Rain, sunshine. Got more rain coming over the next few days, though. So hopefully that will slow down the beaver's work, and maybe we can gain a little bit on the water drainage issue. In the meantime, the beavers are really doing good work, and we don't have anything against the beavers. Certainly they have their place and their role in nature, and who knows, with climate change happening, the beaver could perhaps be, as you said, a keystone animal that helps to mitigate the negative effects of climate change in the future. So I think they're a valuable resource, and it's actually a really good idea, I think, to be working with nature, in harmony with nature, for the betterment of the world. That's all for this one. A big thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time. Over and out.
Take care.